now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you,
Mr. President. We welcome the presence of the Foreign Minister of Burkina Faso, Mr. Alpha Barry. We thank the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations for Africa, Madam Keita, and other briefers for the information that has been provided. We concur with the alarming assessments that have been voiced today regarding the situation in the Sahel. The security threat level in that part of Africa has reached an unprecedented level. The scope of terrorist activity is spreading, as is that of narcotics trafficking and organized crime. An extremist ideology is luring in new adherents. Unfortunately, on a virtually weekly rate, there are tragic reports about the deaths of the military personnel or civilians from the region in the hands of armed groups. As has been noted in the Secretary General's report, the threat now looms over Gulf of Guinea states as well. The roots of these phenomena are well known. Sahel, we are reaping the fruits of the collapse of statehood in Libya, and this was a consequence of the blatant foreign intervention. We believe that absent normalization of the situation in the country, and this was mentioned by a number of interlocutors during a recent mission of the Security Council to Mali and Burkina Faso, it will be virtually impossible to effectively stabilize the region without normalization of the situation in that country. We support the Sahel 5 efforts to deploy joint force to combat terrorism and organized crime. It is evident, and we see that over a relatively brief time span, they have already become an important element in regional security. We note with satisfaction that there's been information about, during the reporting period, 4 operations being conducted by the joint force in their area of responsibility. There have been reports which have surfaced about success of the recent counterterrorism operation of the Sahel units, which concluded on 17 November. We welcome agreement reached on the legal status for the joint forces' presence on the Sahel 5 member states' soil, and we welcome the adoption of the protocol on intelligence cooperation. Of course, there's a great deal yet to be achieved. We are specifically concerned about the fact that still unresolved is the question of identification of the permanent location for the headquarters of the joint force. It would be necessary to expeditiously step up material and technical equipment and support for their units, as well as the level of training for military personnel. The full-fledged operationalization of the Sahel 5 force certainly also hinges on the provision of a stable and predictable financing. We see that the funds pledged by foreign donors are gradually reaching the region. However, far from all of the relevant obligations that have been assumed have been delivered upon. We support the assistance delivered to the joint force by MINUSMA, as well as assistance delivered through UNODC and OHCHR. We are convinced of the importance of further coordinated efforts, both by Africans and the international community, geared towards countering terrorism in the Sahel-Sahara region. It is evident that military measures alone will not eradicate this scourge. There is a need to effectively counter the spread of extremist ideology, to tackle pressing socioeconomic issues, to shore up institutions of state governance, and to instill a culture of respect for human rights. In this connection, we support what was adopted during a summit in Niamey, namely a decision of member states of ECOWAS to invest up to $1 billion for the attainment of the above objectives. We wish to conclude by stressing that Russia is closely following developments in the region. And we have already delivered relevant military and technical assistance to a number of countries. We are training military and police personnel. On the whole, we trust that the armed forces of the G5 Sahel states will soon become an effective mechanism to restore and uphold peace in West Africa. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.